संवत्सरो वै प्रजापतिस्तस्यायने दक्षिणं चोत्तरं च तद्येह वै तदिष्टापूर्ते कृतमित्युपासते ते चन्द्रमसमेव लोकमभिजयन्ते त एव पुनरावर्तन्ते तस्मादेते ऋषयः प्रजाकामा दक्षिणं प्रतिपद्यन्ते एषः वैरयिर्यः पितृयाणः अथोत्तरेण तपसा ब्रह्मचर्येण श्रद्धया विद्ययात्मानमन्विष्य आदित्यमभिजयन्ते एतद्वै प्राणानामायतनम् एतदमृतमभयम् एतत्परायणम् एतस्मान्न पुनरावर्तन्त इत्येष निरोधः तदेष श्लोकः पञ्चपादं पितरं द्वादशाकृतिम् दिव आहुः परे अर्धे पुरीषिणम् अथेमे अन्य उपरे विचक्षणं सप्तचक्रे षडर आहुरर्पितमिति मासो वै प्रजापतिः तस्य कृष्णपक्ष एव रयिः शुक्लः प्राणः तस्मादेते ऋषयः शुक्ल इष्टिं कुर्वन्ति इतर इतरस्मिन् अहोरात्रो वै प्रजापतिस्तस्याहरेव प्राणो रात्रिरेव रयिः प्राणं वा एते प्रस्कन्दन्ति ये दिवारत्या संयुज्यन्ते ब्रह्मचर्यमेव तद्यद्रात्रो रत्या संयुज्यन्ते अन्नं वै प्रजापतिस्ततो ह वै तद्रेतस्तस्मादिमाः प्रजाः प्रजायन्त इति तद्येह तत्प्रजापतिव्रतं चरन्ति ते मिथुनमुत्पादयन्ते तेषामेवैष ब्रह्मलोकः येषां तपो ब्रह्मचर्यं येषु सत्यं प्रतिष्ठितम् तेषामसौ विरजो ब्रह्मलोकः न येषु जिह्ममनृतं न मायाचेति
So the ninth mantra that we last concluded, it talks of the Prajapati as the two parts, the northern path and the southern path. Those who take the path of the moon are categorized. Hello, am I audible? Okay. I was not audible so far, is it? Okay. So the Shastras talk of the two paths, that is the path of the sun and the path of the moon. The path of the sun is the path of Ishtam. The path of the moon is the path of the Purtam. The southern part's the path of the moon, the northern part is the path of the sun. The ninth mantra is talking of the path of the Purtam, who primarily take even though the mantra says the path of karma, here the path of karma is not karma yoga, where he talks of those who take the karma kanda. There's a difference between the path of karma vis-a-vis the karma kanda. Now, the difference is the karma kanda are those who take to various sacrificial, various activities, charitable deeds, any activity, any charitable deed where you are serving the society, where you are uplifting the community. Devoid of any higher goal. When you take to the path of the Purtam, you're just involved in the activities by itself. You may be performing charitable deeds, higher activities, but they are devoid of higher knowledge. So as a result of which, they return again, as the Shastra say, as the mantra says. They only accrue some punya because of the good deeds, and they come back to the cycle of birth and death. What is the difference between those who perform karma kanda vis-a-vis those who are engaged in karma yoga? Both, though there is the term karma, the implication here is those who engage in karma yoga, there is the higher element of yoga. There is the element of uplifting yourself or purifying yourself through the path of action. The impurity of the selfish desire, the impurity of the vasanas are purified through the yogas. Karma yoga is different from karma kanda. In fact, karma kanda, you could go to the extent and say, is the non-essentials of religion. The non-essentials of religion are the mechanical rituals, the superstitious beliefs, and the blind faith. These are the three non-essentials of any religion. So one who performs the rituals mechanically, you entertain certain superstitious beliefs, and you hold on to the faith blindly. Such practices, devoid of jnanam and devoid of the questioning of the intellect. In fact, to the extent there is lack of jnanam and lack of questioning, these three will prevail and these three will take a precedence. I did clarify in the last satsang, you may be, in fact, you have no choice but to perform the rituals because it's an integral part of one sadhana. It's a question of subjective, less or more is your requirement. But when you perform the rituals should, in fact, the rituals convey a message. For whom are the rituals? Rituals are symbols. symbols of the philosophical message. So when I hold on to the symbols without understanding or gaining the insight as to what is the intended message, the rituals don't serve the purpose. That's when they become mechanical. Every ritual is intended to convey a message. So when you perform the ritual, the practitioner is expected to understand the bhavana. The bhavana means the feeling and the intended message behind the ritual. So if the practitioner performs the ritual without attuning to the intended message or the philosophical takeaway, the ritual doesn't serve its intended purpose. And that's when the ritual becomes mere mechanical practice. So the mechanical ritual devoid of knowledge is the non-essential, not the ritual by itself. Please get that right. Ritual is an integral part, but it has to be done in a holistic manner, in a wholesome manner to uplift you. And the moment the jnanam element is absent, that's when it becomes karma kanda. That's when it becomes a mere mechanical exercise. That is purtam. That's what is clarified in the ninth mantra. They attain the world of moon, which means meritorious worlds, and they return. Therefore, those sages who desire progeny take the southern course. The matter is verily the path of the forefathers. As I said, you go into the worlds of the world of the means. You exhaust the merits acquired there. What does Prajapati mean? From the beginning of the chapter, in fact, the chapter almost begins with talking of Prajapati, the creator. So it's a theory, because the question is, how did this entire pluralistic phenomenon of the names and forms they've come about? That's what the student asks, and there's a theory given, and then the master is building on that. So the proportion of knowledge and the proportion of rituals is very subjective. It's important that it has to be catered to your specific requirement. And if that requirement is not met, it's like medicine and dosage. If the dosage, medicine may be right. If the dosage is wrong, it's going to not help you cure the disease. Also, we should ensure that the intellectual element should not develop into an element of arrogance or egoistic notion. So you should be humble enough to do things which you are not comfortable doing. That's how you know whether it's arrogance or it is genuinely don't need it. If somebody tells you to do something which is below your stature, what do you say? How can I do that? It's not meant for me. A clerk went to come and sweep. You want me to sweep the floor and mop? It's not my job. A clerical job I don't do. Why? It's beyond your intellect stature, is it? That is arrogance. Is a curtain that you draw and say, I don't do these things. It's not my job. But if you are able to do any kind of job, that means there is no ego. But when there is a natural affinity to something, do it to the extent you need it. No harm, but ensure the element of knowledge is there. And the lower people, the higher people, as I've said, they are the path of Ishtam, which is the next mantra that we're going to talk about, where he is going to clarify they are they have a natural aversion to the lower practices. They are the men of serious knowledge, contemplation, and when they do depart, they reach the path of the sun. Okay. We'll take up the next mantra, it becomes clearer.
अथोत्तरेण तपसा ब्रह्मचर्येण श्रद्धया विद्ययात्मानमन्विष्य आदित्यमभिजयन्ते एतद्वै प्राणानामायतनम् एतदमृतमभयम् एतत्परायणम् एतस्मान्न पुनरावर्तन्त इत्येष निरोधः तदेष श्लोकः.
Then those who have sought the Atman by penance, Anvishya. Anvishya means those who have sought the Atman through tapasa, brahmacharyena, celibacy, shraddhaya, which is translated as faith, and vidyaya, knowledge, gain the sun traveling the northern route. This is the home of all living creatures, the immortal, the fearless. This is the highest goal. From there, they do not return. Na punaravartanta. Na means not. They do not return. This is the end. For this, there is a mantra. Again, following tradition, he quotes the gurus of the Mantropanishad, of the Rig Veda. This also is again approved by the Shastras. It's not my claim. Now, firstly, he says Ayatanam. This is the home of all living creatures. Home means it is the abode. When you say home, means we belong there. You all, mankind, from the point of the text, he says, you all should seek this goal. Don't get caught up in the karma kanda. Don't get caught up in the mere ritualistic aspect. In fact, those who perform the rituals have an arrogance that this is the highest. And if somebody were to point a finger on the practices, they will go about so vehemently justifying and holding on to their own attachments. They think what they are practicing is highest and everything else is lower. Because they also have the majority. But here the Shastras are correcting. Ayatanam. This is the goal. This is what you must seek. So this mantra is talking about you must lead a life of Ishtam. A life of discrimination, a life of renunciation. These two are made for each other. So to the extent you are able to discriminate between the lower and the higher, that discrimination between low and higher is known as viveka, and renunciation is known as vairagya. So the typical trait of a man of knowledge is to discriminate between the lower and the higher, and the renunciation to the lower, vairagya. And only when you have these two qualities, you belong to the category of Ishtam. Otherwise, you fall in the category of Purtam. So you must get the concept of Viveka and Vairagya. Viveka is discrimination, Vairagya is a sense of dispassion, a sense of detachment to the lower. And then in the beginning of the mantra, he says, those who have sought the Atman. So when you have Viveka and Vairagya, what do? You seek the Atman. And then he gives the qualities required to seek the Atman. First is tapasa, penance. How do you practice tapas in the modern era? He gives four qualities: tapasa, brahmacharya, shraddha, and vidya. So what is tapas? Tapasa, penance. Now, what kind of penance are we supposed to do here in the modern era? When you intensify it, it takes another level. But what's the principle or definition of tapas? You have given it time and again. Ramji, you have the definition? Wrong definition.
And don't unmute, sir.
Correct. I don't do that, sir. So we'll tell Gayatri Mata to mute immediately. Tapas is not manana. What is manana?
Right.
Manana is reflection.
Yeah.
They are completely different qualities. What is tapas?
Tapas is a single-minded, without any distraction, you are in the, I should say, you're thinking and extracting the value of the scriptures that you are, all the knowledge that you have. But it is a kind of an internal thing, nothing external in that.
Mute chesemantara?
Chesend, sir.
Sir, tapas envisages two essential aspects, as partly some of them have presented. Swami Amma, Pramita Amma, and Gayatri Amma, all of them are rightly saying a tapas envisages two essential qualities. One is avoiding mental dissipation of energy. So the first element is to avoid mental energy which are being dissipated. So you need to identify which are the areas which are actually sapping your mental energy. And where does the energy get sapped is when you are running behind the worldly pursuits. Something in the world is enchanting you, you run behind it, you pursue it, you want to fulfill it, you revel in it. All that takes so much of your time and energy, your valuable time. Life is all in vain pursuits. So when you consider an activity as dissipation of energy, you ensure that there is avoiding dissipation. So tapas is conserving the energy which is being dissipated into unproductive channels. Having conserved, you have a lot of resources of mental energy. What do? Redirect it to the higher pursuit. So, two aspects. One is avoid dissipation and redirecting them for higher pursuits. But what is higher for me may be lower for you. What is higher for you may be lower for me. So you must, that's why I said these four practices is preceded with Viveka and Vairagya. If Viveka and Vairagya is not there, Viveka of what? Viveka is the discrimination between the higher and the lower. That is standard. You must have that knowledge. What is para? What is apara? Para is lower, para is higher, apara is lower. So you should know definition wise what it is. So the yardsticks of dissipation of energy to the lower becomes very clear, because then you fall into that bracket. Which bracket do you fall? So the discrimination is very important. Categorization is important. And then you say, if I pursue this, it is the lower. If I pursue this, obviously, pursuit of the Atman is the higher. As he categorizes in this 10th mantra, only those who pursue the Atman or Atmavidya is Ishtam. Rest all are caught up in the Purtam. Rest all are the lower. So you have done, now you realize how much of your time, energy, and activity is invested in the lower. You find out. Ayyo, Pramitama is holding ayyo. What am I to do now? All my life I'm involved in the lower throughout the day. Only perhaps in the weekend I'm thinking of Atman Brahman. Just for the time I'm thinking of the world. What, Pramitama? Isn't it?
Yes, yes, Guruji Hariom, that is so true. The more I hear about this and learn about this, the more I realize how very far away I am from it all. So entangled with all the worldly attachments and worries and concerns. And I think at the intellectual level, this knowledge is very illuminating for me. But to put it into practice, that is the greatest challenge that I face each day and every hour of every day.
No, no, it will trickle, as Ramji earlier mentioned of Manana. If you do, I'm sure you are doing a little bit of Manana every day. Take that, like every day you pop in the multivitamins or the essential tablets for your healthy life. Give that little dose of reflection on manana, on the values that you have learned from satsangs like these. You do that exercise of manana every day, and you will start seeing the magic of that swadhyaya in your life. Slowly but surely, the that which you have been giving so much emphasis on will lose its significance in your life. Something which mattered to you so much doesn't matter to you. Something which used to affect you will not bother you. This is how the lower, which relatively means so much, loses its significance because you are seriously investing your thoughts in the higher. That's what manana is. When you do manana, you are reflecting on the higher. You're planting the seed. You're nourishing the seed planted by the Guru. You are nourishing it. So that will grow. So there will be a gradual but a certain shift that you will experience. You will not go to the parlor and spend 2 hours trying to do pedicure, manicure, and then trying to, each fingernail has to have a specific design. You will realize, what am I doing?
Such a waste of precious time.
I will not tell to you now. I don't know whether you do it, but if you do it, you will realize, what am I doing? But that does not mean you don't trim your nail. That does not mean you don't do pedicure, manicure. But there's a what am I getting into? Whom am I trying to impress? Which circles I'm trying to be involved with? Then you say it's a colossal waste of time and energy, man. No, no problem. I may be a part of social gatherings if required, be so. But it loses its charm. I've seen over the years students who used to come and tell me, it meant to me so much, but now it has no charm for me. And I do so because it's pure obligation. I'm expected to be there, I'll be there because I have a dharma, it's my duty. But given a chance, I will keep my distance from it. The kind of a genuine disinterest comes in. A matter of time, don't worry. You intensify a sadhana, it comes in earlier. But what's important is the effort of manana that goes on. All right.
Yes, Guruji. When I look at that path of Ishtam and Purtam and, contemplate on that, and I think, oh my God, how many more lifetimes do I have to go through before I'll be able to reach?
This is
It
your last, don't worry.
seems so far away.
No.
Thank you,
You must
Guruji.
think in
Thank
the
you.
way that this is my last and work towards it. Isn't it?
Yes, I shall strive with your
Thank you.
blessings.
Yeah,
Thank you.
with divine blessings, certainly. Ma. So tapasa, penance is to pursue the higher, and you can only pursue the higher when the lower is not pursued, so that you invest in the higher by avoiding dissipation. And then brahmacharya. What is brahmacharya? What purifies the heart more, ishtam or purtam? You figure out. After explaining so much, you still ask elementary question. I will not answer such elementary questions. I don't know whether you are using your intellect or not. You got to A for apple, B for ball. Then you ask me, what is A? I can't say anything further than that. See, before you even ask a question, think, what am I asking? And I'm not being disrespectful to you or anyone in this classroom because the objective is not that. The objective is to answer. You are genuinely asking. But it's important, one of the criteria of questioning is you ponder and ponder and ponder. And then when you don't get an answer, then you approach a guru. Then you ask. It should not be an impulsive outburst of something that comes into your mind, you outpour it. Don't pour it out like that because it just expresses the lack of application of a student. And I can see that lack of application. It's not the intent of asking, but lack of application is what I'm addressing. So I will not answer the question. You figure it out. Brahmacharyena, celibacy. What is brahmacharya? Self-control, chastity. In fact, brahmacharya is, as we have defined earlier, who remembers brahmacharya? The definition of brahmacharya? See, all these practices, qualities you can practice. This is what it is, not just strict for definition. Brahmacharya. Thinking of Brahman. So brahmacharya is right. So you brahmani charanti iti, which means you lead a life in such a manner that you can revel entertain and revel in the thought of Brahman. So you will lead a life in a manner that the thought of Brahman can be entertained, the thought of Brahman can be preserved. So the choice of actions that you live, so the choice of actions, the choice of life should remind you of Brahman. Which environments that you seek, what you are drawn to, that is important. And that you have a choice over. So you will not be in a company which will not facilitate the thought of Brahman or which will not protect the thought of Brahman in your mind. Tapasa, brahmacharyena, and then shraddhaya. Shraddhaya is not in any order. I'm just going by what the text has stated. There's no order per se. Each standalone. Shraddhaya is the pursuit of brahmacharya, tapasa, and vidhyaya. So Shraddha applies to all the other three qualities mentioned in the text. Vidya obviously is, what is Vidya? Is just not receiving knowledge. Vidya completes when it is transformed into wisdom. And in order to transform knowledge into wisdom, what do you need? What even no problem. I don't know who made the answer. Each one in their own worlds. I get that. I get that. So how do you convert knowledge into wisdom? What is the quality required? Seduji? Hariom, sir.
Consistency, manana, consistency of manana.
In order to attain wisdom, you need Shraddha. So the quality of Shraddha is applicable to Tapasa, Brahmacharya, and Jnanam. So these three qualities will give you necessary upliftment when you practice it with Shraddha. So Shraddha is the capacity. See, there's a difference between Shraddha and Dhriti. In Sanskrit, Dhriti is given consistency of purpose. Shraddha is slightly different to Dhriti. What's the difference between Shraddha and Dhriti? Shraddha is more giving the emphasis on pursuit of an action until you reach the goal, until you reach the end. Dhriti is emphasis on is making your actions consistent. Slightly emphasis on two different things. Dhriti is a consistency of purpose. So if I'm following discipline, how consistently are following discipline? Whatever you're doing, are you consistent with it? That is dhriti. So when you're not consistent, they say you don't have dhriti in you. That quality of dhriti is absent in you. They say. Shraddha is to have the end in mind, and I will pursue it until I get there. So I will not stop it until I get to my goal, which is the end of it. That is Shraddha. So the emphasis is slightly different if you are able to get that. Amitam, are you getting it? Can you spell out what is the difference?
Hariom Guruji. Yeah, I think Driti is about the now, the action that I am carrying out, versus Shraddha, which is having the goal or the aim always on the end. So we are not stopping until we reach the end. So maybe that's slight difference, which I think is very easy to forget when we are in action, in activity, involved in worldly matters and things like that. We may focus so much on the action without, losing vision of the end goal. Could that be the difference?
Indeed, yes. There is that focus on the goal, as you say, Shraddha.
Or Shraddha.
And you will not drop the action until you get the goal.
Right.
It's just not the thought of the goal. It is a sense of such a clear clarity in the pursuit. I will not leave it until
Until it
get
is.
there, until you get there.
Yes.
And both are qualities of
Intellect.
You can't practice Shraddha without intellect. You can't practice consistency without intellect. So therefore, they seem to be similar, but they're not. They're slightly different. Okay. So tapasa brahmacharyena shraddhaya vidyaya. This is the northern route. This is the home of all living creatures. The path of Atman, which is the immortal, the fearless. This is the highest goal. From there, they do not return. In the previous mantra, they return. This mantra, they don't return. You can take it to the path of Brahmaloka. Means they go to the higher world and from there they attain moksha. You can either take it as liberation in stages, known as krama mukti. So they attain a certain worlds of meritorious deeds, and from there they are transported to Brahman. Which is known as progressive liberation. The progressive liberation is known as the northern route, Brahmaloka or Kramamukti, or the rarest category they perform the. So when do you get to this Brahmaloka or this category where you perform unselfish plus selfless actions? Just to be, we are aware of it. There's so much we talk in the Upanishad classes in particular, because the Shastras keep talking of it. When you perform a mix of unselfish and selfless actions, you get a fruit of both. The fruit of unselfish is Brahmaloka. Clubbed with selfless actions, you get moksha. But in the category of Purtam, they are only performing UK. How do you differentiate the path of return here?
Okay. They're performing only karma kanda or only charitable deeds to uplift themselves, like without the without this thing of the higher goal.
So the higher goal, or they don't perform selfless actions. There are no selfless actions.
Yeah.
So when you perform unselfish actions, what do you get?
Brahmaloka will get.
Brahmaloka is mantra 10.
Okay.
In mantra 9, what do you get?
This Purtam Guru Karma. No. This Purtam Guruji, where you will come back to the, again to the cycle of life and death.
Indeed, you will come back. But what do you get when you perform only unselfish actions? They also
Punya, you get punya, and then you come back to the cycle of life and death.
And the punya, he said, is you go to the world of the forefathers, the world of males, which can be said as
Pitraloka. Okay.
Pitraloka or the Indraloka. There are other
Okay.
heavenly worlds where you enjoy the merits and come back.
Come back. Okay.
Why they are not performing selfless actions there?
Actions. Yeah.
Selfless actions are not performed. So
Yes.
only unselfish actions with a motive you get. Mark the words. When you perform unselfish actions with a motive is unselfish motive.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
punya.
Punya.
Exhaust, come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Maybe your motive is only to accrue punya. That's all.
That's all. They are very clear.
Yeah.
They only do that to accrue punya. Okay. And then when you come to the 10th mantra, he puts it unselfish plus the selfless. And what makes a selfless are the categories of tapasa, brahmacharya,
And viveka. And
viveka, vairagya,
yeah.
and shraddha with
Shraddha.
vidya, with
Vidya.
knowledge.
Yeah.
All of this, what does it do? It ensures the motive element is dropped.
Yeah.
Then you rise to the level of selfless
Brahman.
actions.
Yeah.
No, Brahmaloka, forget it.
Yeah.
See, what makes the action selfless? What
When there
makes
is
the actions motiveless?
it is just without even any expectation you are doing it, Guruji.
How? What makes it? What lifts your actions from unselfish to selfless? Otherwise, all of us will fall into degree of heavenly works, degree of unselfish actions, and degree of punya we are accruing. But how to rise from there to the level of selfless? That is the lift, and that is ishtam. Otherwise, we fall into the category of purtam. Majority of practitioners are falling into the category of purtam. How to move to ishtam is to make your action selfless. So my question is, how do you please think, Ushama. The question is, what makes your actions from unselfish to selfless? From motive to motiveless. I'll wait for others to attempt, Setuji. Just only aimed at self-realization. But yeah, what makes it to that? What is it that lifts actions to that extent? Yes, Ramji.
I think we always said that if you have any purpose other than self-realization, then it falls into either selfish or unselfish. But if your purpose is only self-realization, then you can go to the selfless actions stage. That means you have to have no other motive in your mind. That's what. But you are asking what makes it motiveless, right? So,
You said it. What? Maybe let's hear from Vasantama.
yeah.
Only have the goal in mind that vairagya should be there. All these, whatever you have told now, Shraddha, Dhruti, all that will help you when you have the goal in mind, as Ramji has said, and then you through manna and all, you get that vairagya. Use your intellect and get that strong vairagya not to fall into the trap.
Mhm. So, what makes the action selfless is by
Having only the goal in mind,
no,
nothing
correct.
else.
See, the goal will come when one is to put that way, but when will the actions gain selfless is by removing the motive element. So what burns away the motive element is all the practices of vairagya, jnanam, tapas, brahmacharya. It's like knowledge burning the ignorance. The ignorance in the form of motives. If I am having motives to my action, how do I get rid of the motive? The motive can be got ridden by intensifying these qualities. So when I practice these qualities of viveka, vairagya, tapasa, brahmacharya, shraddha, jnanam, dhriti, viveka, vairagya, all these qualities, if a sadhak is practicing, this fire of knowledge of these qualities burns the
Ignorance, Maya.
ignorance in the form of the motives, not Maya. Ignorance in the form of motives. So when these motives get burnt away, what is left? I am
Dispassion.
getting into the mode of motiveless actions, which is selfless actions, which is nothing but the goal of realization. And because of the element of knowledge of Atman, the thought of Atman gets it gets sold. It gets, you get, the thought of Atman is absorbed into the system. And that's when actions are more driven towards the Atman. Isn't it, Ramji? Perfect.
Yes.
So this is a slow process. So, and to the extent this practice is intensified, the selfless pursuit gets more prominent. So, how many of your actions are selfless? See, one way of saying is I am seeking self realization. Another way of seeing it is I don't get bound to this action. If you want to measure selfless actions, is I am performing the action, I am not bound at all to that action. So if I can ask this question, how can I not get bound to the action? To that extent, action is selfless. So you can say it directed to self-realization, or my action now is not bound. What binds one to an action is the motive. So when I'm performing the action, how can I not get bound? If I'm doing that and not bound to that extent, action is selfless. You're liberated, no? My action is not binding, my action is liberating me. What binds you to the world is motive. So when I'm not bound, there is no motive. I am free. So the question is, yes, sir, yes, Ramji.
This motive is a very, very difficult thing, sir, to understand. Actually, when we do actions, many times we have to dig very deep inside us to understand why we are doing certain things. Because certain things are very easy to know why we are doing. But to reach a stage of motivelessness, you have to really dig very deep to see what is the motive behind our actions. Many things which we do as being, and at the most they will become unselfish. But even in unselfish, many people don't see that motive because they don't dig deep enough. So to reach that motiveless situation, it calls for a very deep introspection. very, very deep introspection. It cannot be done with a very superficial understanding of our motives. I think a lot of these motives come from our vasanas and our various inclinations inside us without our knowledge, without our awareness also. So I'm only just adding to what you're saying, that it is to reach that stage may take not just years, it may take many janmas actually to reach that motiveless situation. It's a continuous sadhana which has to be done.
That motive comes because of the gunas, not because of vasanas, please.
Oh,
Vasanas only gives you a particular inclination to a particular field. See, if you give vasana, then you can't do much about it. Then you say, oh, it's my DNA, I can't do much about it. You can't change the vasana that easily, but you can change the gunas very easily. Relatively, gunas are easily changeable. Vasanas don't change that easily. So
But even if you are a sattva guna person, you think motive will be, it can be motiveless?
Pure motive. Pure motive. Highest of sattva is no motive at all. Rajasic is desire-ridden, selfish motive. Tamas is also a personification of tamas. So the difference between rajas, tamas to sattva is what? Is only the motive. No? Sattva is unselfish. Rajas is selfish desires pursuing. So the motives are a reflection of your gunas, not the vasanas. That's the only point I would like to correct if I have to, what you said. But it's important for each one of us to keep questioning, why am I doing whatever I'm doing? Keep questioning why, and then you come to the very bottom, then there is some clarity why you're doing. That's the last motive. Beyond that, there's nothing more you can get to, then you know it's a motive.
Yes.
Why are you eating food? All right. Why I'm eating food? I'm eating food because I'm hungry.
Or because you enjoy.
Just what
that
it
is the motive. Yeah. To stay alive, you may eat this much.
Yeah.
To enjoy, you may eat this much. So, like Annamacharya said, Viduvana aharambunu, Viduvana samsara sukham. So these are all things which we don't leave because of our own attachment to them.
Okay, when somebody is fasting, why are you fasting? Feasting, you can understand. Why are you fasting? There is a reason behind it. Why are you doing it? Like yesterday, I was feeling very, it was not myself. It was a very long day, and I said, I will please prepare some dinner for me. I'll eat. Usually, I don't eat food. In dinners, I don't eat. So, a typical every day is 17, 18 hours of fasting. After lunch, I don't eat until breakfast. So, I feel very uncomfortable to sleep after when I eat food because I'm so used to 95% time I'm fasting. So, the food in the tummy became a discomfort, to be frank with you.
Yeah.
But when I fast, for what reason am I fasting? Is it only to gain health? Is it only for that purpose? Or you are consciously practicing self-control? It challenges your, there's no more a challenge, it's a norm. It's in the initial stages, if you do it, it challenges your senses, your mind. So you're intensifying the conscious withdrawal from sense contact. if I medically, if I have to withdraw, then I'm doing for a purpose. Then the motive is just for health purpose, I'm withdrawing. But if I consciously say no to it for a purpose, why? I'm able to practice withdrawal. I'm able to keep a check on my mind only to help me in my sadhana so that I'm able to pursue my goal of realization. So if this act of withdrawal is linked to that motive, which is my goal. Okay, when I'm eating annam, why am I eating annam? I'm eating annams because I need the energy so that I can pursue my goal. So every activity, if I go back and back, I'm just giving an argument, please. If I come to an honest assessment, yes, this is my motive, you come to a very clear motive.
Actually, sir, many times people don't understand the deep motive behind doing good things. The motive behind many other things one can analyze, but when you do good things in life, why are you doing? And that if you keep questioning and then go deeper, is it? So that's when the difference between unselfish and selfless will become clear.
Is the company is doing CSR. Why are they doing CSR? Because they have no choice but to do. They don't
the
want to
government
do.
has
Government has put conditions you better do. Otherwise, we will take back your licenses and we will start fining you. So when somebody is doing, they may have no backing. There's no motive in the sense that it's not selfless action. They're doing because it's being told to do. So the act by itself has no meaning. The act, we often say action is neutral. What gives a definition to an action is the motive, not the action. So we must be very conscious to have clarity what backs the action, what is the motive. And these spiritual practices change the character of the motive, which is from unselfish to selfless, because the quotient of Atma Vidya is coming in and it shifts towards the selfless category. So the question I had asked is, when your actions don't get bound, you can understand it also as selfless actions.
That is when you are not attached to either the action or the result of the action.
Then why are you doing the action? You're only doing because it's my duty, my dharma. So you get into the action only because you are duty bound. So you don't get caught up in the performance of the action, as you said, or the fruits of action. You just do because my obligation. So you get into the action because you are obligated, and then you move on. At a relative level, selfless, mark my words, please. You may have to remember this. At a relative level, selfless actions are performance of duty without any desire to do it, nor interest in the fruit of the action. But you do it because you have an obligation. That kind of clarity will ensure that there is no bondage to the action. I think Sureshji said earlier about action with ego effaced. Ultimately, that's what it is, where there's no ego or the I factor. Yes, Sureshji?
Yeah, when the action is accompanied by the sense of I, the preponderance of the ego, then you see that action can never be selfless. It may be unselfish, but there is a motive, there is an end in view. Therefore, that action in the absence of ego, it becomes pure as if the divine is acting through you, and it becomes selfless action. Like the rose is there, it releases its fragrance. There is no motive. This fragrance should reach Mr. X because Mr. X is a very famous or a moneyed man, and therefore I will benefit. It doesn't have any such intention. It's just doing its swadharma, its innate nature.
So difficult to be like a rose. It doesn't say I will not release my fragrance
But
because
the
the
goal
mala is
should,
there.
but this thought should be there. What you keep saying, the Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, these things should be there somewhere at the back of the mind. It is so important. Only then one will be able to face success and setback, and happiness and any kind of sadness, because this manifestation of opposites goes on day after day, day after day, day after day. And therefore, to what extent we are able to efface that ego, and that is the important thing.
Perfect, Sureshji. Panigreji, maybe if you can clarify, sir, what you're saying.
Guruji, Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir.
In fact, very often for any organization for that matter, has a vision, has a goal, and they also define their mission statement also. And they always propagate this concept of core value. Like we have our own core value, that is I commit. I commit is the short form of that, like integrity, customer focus and agility, organizational pride, mutual respect and trust, innovation and learning, and total quality and safety. These are the core values of NTPC for that matter. So as a matter of fact, unless one is attached, I just wanted to understand, it is very often said that one has to perform without any attachment to the goal or by practice of these core values. And so in any case, attachment is there. And then another word comes that is called passion, which is very close to my heart. Unless somebody has some sort of passion, it is very difficult to reach that goal. So how do you define that you have to perform without any attachment? So in any case, attachment has to be there to all these elements. One may not see what is for me. In that sense, TK, you have to be detached. You should not see your own this thing self for any. But for the larger cause, one has to be attached. It could be in the form of a passion. It could be in the form of a core value. So in any case, attachment is there.
Panigreji, you are a very kind soul, sir. Because, you have not only asked me a difficult question, but you have given me a very satisfying answer also. See, you yourself said at the end of it, you said, you should be detached to your own egoistic self. At the same time, you must be attached to the higher values of the organization, have a passion of the higher goal. This is exactly it is. Only when you're attached to the higher, you will be detached to the lower. So the principle of attachment, detachment is an integral part of any action. As you rightly said, you must attach in the sense, identify yourself with the higher values of the organization, with a passion to serve a larger goal, a greater cause, a larger good. In the process, you will be detached to your own egoistic benefits, selfish interests, or personal motives. They will be dropped. So your little self will be dwarfed in the presence of the cause of, here in your case, the NTPC or the organization that you represent, you've been serving for these long years, and you take great pride and passion in serving that prestigious organization. In the process, what happens? Mr. Panigrahi, as an individual who may have received various accolades, various awards, various recognitions, that doesn't matter. What matters is the flag of the organization. You are the flag bearer. You are serving the cause, but you yourself become insignificant because you are a mere servant serving the large cause. And you do it with great passion. And that joy comes because you are detached to your little self. You are attached to the higher cause. And this is
So,
the
but
core
Guruji, in
values.
any case, you are attached. Maybe you are attached not to the lower cause, but to the higher cause.
Sir,
So,
you
attachment is
can,
always there.
it is always there. You can never be without attachment. The question is to what? So the Shastras are saying, if at all you're attached, you can't remain from being attached. Why don't you be attached to something more meaningful, more purposeful? So
Okay.
it's always a question of relativity. Attachment and detachment are like two pedals. Only when you're attached to the higher, you'll be detached to the lower.
Thank you. Thank you, Guruji.
Perfect, sir. Thanks to you. You only helped me answer the question. Perfect. But when we get into texts like these, we must understand that they are not giving us solution. Mm. They are just, or rather, they're not giving us the path. They're just giving us a solution to the problem. You figure out how to practice it. They don't give us a path. We are trying to explain these qualities and create a path for ourselves. And the interesting thing is the path and the goal are one and the same. That they're not contrary. So, but they talk from a higher point of view. We are talking from a relative point of view. That's the only difference. And again, at the end of it, in the mantra, he says, for this, there is a mantra, which refers to the next mantra, which we will come back and take in the next satsang. Okay. Oshama, I think you have an announcement, maybe, but can you see your chat box, please, the private chat box?
Okay.
Just refer to it. There's some message has been given to you. Gayatri, can you share the slide, please? Yeah. Yes.
Can I tell, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay. Hari Om, friends. As you're all aware, next week we have an exciting, important event coming up. Second Gita Jnana Yagna from May 1st to 3rd. It is being sponsored by NTPC at their auditorium in Kavadiguda. We thank Panigrahiji for arranging this. Guruji will be offering discourses on chapter 2, verses 31 to 53 of the Bhagavad Gita under the title Actions, Evolutionary and Devolutionary. As regular students of Wisdom Foundation, our immediate task is to popularize the 3-day lectures so that maximum number of people attend these lectures and get benefited. All of us have to intensify circulating the flyer in our own circles. A few ways to do this. Circulate in all your different WhatsApp groups. Post in your own social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. Get it circulated in the WhatsApp groups of other organizations you are associated with. Get it circulated in the temples you visit in their WhatsApp groups. Those students residing outside Hyderabad, please urge your friends in Hyderabad to attend the session. Request your family members and friends to circulate the flyer in their WhatsApp groups and organizations they are associated with. Please share any other ideas you can come up with. I'm sure with all our joint efforts in the next 1 week, we can garner a large audience for the event and make it a grand success. Hari Om, and thank you all.
Thanks, Ushama. Indeed, thankful to Panigrahi for graciously accepting our request, which they have come forward and supported the previous Jnana Yajna as well, which was held in the foundation. And not only supporting, sponsoring, they're also supporting the event by hosting it in their beautiful facility, whereby the larger number of people can be exposed and get benefited by these public lectures. Thanks to Panigrahi and the team for all the support. And as Ushama has stated, we do our bit. We can reach out to many more people so that this wisdom can touch and uplift them. Okay. Being on the occasion of these lecture series, please note the next week we will not be having regular classes, be it the Saturday satsang and the Sunday satsang will not be as scheduled because of the weekend lectures. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om.